assumed that spiritual men are not romantic. How can a man be balanced in this case? Because women want spiritual, godly men that are also romantic. This is from Oni.
This is a man's question again. Well, to be honest with you, many of them don't know how to be romantic. And you have to train them. You, the girl, you have to train these guys. Many of them don't know. They don't, because people that are raised, let's say in traditional Africa, they've never even seen their father hug their mother, ever. Because every touch is interpreted to mean sex. Generally, in certain cultures, you don't show affection outside. So, you just reproduce what you've seen. You just reproduce what you've seen. So, I think a good communication is necessary to say, hey, look, if you can take the topic as it is and start discussing it. This question you've asked, so let's talk about this romance in marriage. What do you consider to be romance in marriage? Most guys, they pay school fees, they pay house rent. If you get a holiday, you are lucky. Because they think, well, they have you noticed how many men don't even remember wedding anniversaries? They don't remember birthdays. They don't remember nothing. Even their own birthday, you have to remind them you were born today. So if you don't train a guy like that, how is he going to be romantic? You know, so, and I think these things with time, if you are teachable, both of you, with time, you can, and you know, let me also say, that's not enough to disqualify a guy.
It's not.
Because nobody comes packaged. If you meet a guy who is packaged, everything is perfect, you need to be a bit careful. Maybe he's been married several times and he's picked up experience or something.
Or he has sisters.
Or he has sisters who have helped him who have groomed him. But there's no ready-made when it comes to this thing. In fact, when I see, the thing I love is when I see a couple that are willing to learn, I'm ready to work with them. You know, so I think, this is,
yes,
men have to be, maybe you need to talk more about the romantic part, because I'm a man. Men have to, I think they have to be taught, I think they have to learn.
They have to be taught and learn. Well, in our culture, for instance, coming home with a small gift, just something, not necessarily that, not in the terms of receiving gifts as per love language, but just thinking about your partner when you're out. You just went out and you see something your partner likes, your wife likes. As a guy, there's really nothing wrong with buying it. And it doesn't have to be an expensive gift. You could just buy groundnuts, you could buy, here we like suya a lot.
Yes.
You buy suya 500 naira or maybe 300 naira, depending on how much you have.
Yes.
Sweethearts, that's it.
It's just for you.
I thought I had you on my mind, you know.
She's talking from experience. When you don't have money, when you started, you didn't have money. Those are the love gifts you would give that time.
You know, simple things like that actually are things that you can learn as a man in a relationship. Just ways that will help. Being romantic is actually just thinking about the other person, putting the other person above yourself. And any way in which you can make that person feel special, that person will consider it being romantic. Going out on dates together, telling your friends, look, I have an appointment. Who is your appointment with? My wife. Those are simple things. So it doesn't stop a guy from being spiritual.
Yes.
Because there are two different aspects of life. I mean, being spiritual has to do with your relationship with God, the time you spend in the Word, and all that. If you are very spiritual and you ask God on how to be romantic towards your wife, you'll be surprised. God will give you tips, and you'll find that it will help your relationship. So it's easy to combine the two actually.
Let me add something there. This dates thing, a lot of people think, when I date, I don't have money. It has nothing to do with money. Because I remember in our early days, sometimes we just take a walk.
Yes, we did that.
There's nowhere to really go. You take a walk, you stop somewhere, maybe you buy corn. Oh, someone says that's a date. It's a date now because it's two of us eating that corn.
That's it.
And you talk, you know. I mean, sometimes we went to restaurants and sat down and ate it, but you can create your own. Just create something, and one of the love languages is quality time. You need to have time for both of you that is not crowded. Even if you have little children, maybe find some time where you can bring somebody in to babysit. While it's just two of you, three is a crowd.
Definitely.
Where two of you can just be on your own somewhere. It doesn't have to be expensive. And like she said, receiving of gifts is another love language. The suya thing, one of my friends calls it a peace offering. You bring that home. I mean, I don't go anywhere in the world without bringing a peace offering home. I mean, that is just standard practice for me. I don't care if it's a chocolate bar, but I must bring something. Okay, when I was out ministering, I was thinking about you. I know all the sizes. Those things come. I didn't learn them overnight, but they come with time. You learn them. So, and acts of service is another love language that you can express, that you put in the other person first. Something you just go out of your way to do. I mean, if some men can actually cook very well, more than their wives. Nothing is wrong with you taking over the kitchen a few times and making something for her, bringing coffee in bed, go and make, just, even if it doesn't taste okay, she's going to like it, that you went out of your way to do the eggs and, you brought it to her in bed and you say, okay, this is breakfast, and, Saturdays that you're not running around a lot, once in a while, things like that. Because listen, to live with somebody for all your life, if you don't spice it up, there's enough trouble to make you start growing apart. And then words of affirmation, they don't cost anything. Words of affirmation, and I used to tell men when I talk with them that if you can't say it, because in your culture they don't say it, thank God for phones. You can text it. You can send her one. It's going to change your relationship. Constant text messaging to appreciate her, constant text messaging, and all that kind of thing. And of course, physical touch. One of my teachers in secondary school, an American man, he was one of the people that discipled me when I got saved in 1976. He was one of my disciples. In fact, he discipled me and some other boys. One of the things that used to impress me every time I visited him, Mr. Isaac, the man's name, an American guy, must be very old now. When we go, those of us who are doing the Great Commission movement manual, sometimes we'll do it in his house. I think they had two boys, or maybe before they had, I can't remember well, but one thing that just stayed in my mind, the way they used to chase themselves in the house, even when we were there sometimes, they were absolutely like children, and they would tackle themselves and laugh, and I'm sure they were just living their life. But for us, young teenagers being brought into that, it was like, I mean, our eyes, all the boys, our eyes got very big, like, is this how people marry? So things like that, they have a very profound influence. So you need to spice your marriage up. And like I tell people, if you quarrel, the most mature person should first apologize. You should even be competing about who apologize first. I'm sorry about yesterday. That word should come out of your mouth constantly and mean it. Because life is too short to be fighting. Life is too short to be fighting. It's just a waste of time. It's negative energy. When you have the devil, as far as I'm concerned, you don't need negative energy.